What's going on? This is 3 tips in Illustrator, and this video is for all skill levels, so let's go. The first tip is creating your own custom keyboard shortcuts. Let's take this circle for example. If we want to change its opacity, we'd have to go up here, mess with a slider, or maybe type in a number, and that's a little bit tedious. So instead, let's go to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts. Make sure Tools is selected for this. I'm going to search for opacity. And then we have all these opacities, 0 through 100% in increments of 10. So I've set up most of them, but I'm going to finish them up here. So I'll go into 90% opacity. I'll hit 9 on my keyboard to set that. And then for 100%, I like to hit Shift 0 because 0 has already been specified for 0% opacity. Go ahead and hit OK when you've typed all those in. It's going to ask you to overwrite your set or possibly create a set. Hit yes. And then now, when I select this shape, if I hit 1 on my keyboard, it goes to 10% opacity, 5, 50%, 9, 90%, and so on and so forth. Tip number 2 is setting up and using global swatches. So let's go ahead and turn our light green color here into a swatch. Hit the plus icon, hit OK. Now I'm going to hold down Option and drag out a copy of this. Then I'm going to hit Command D on my keyboard a few times just to make multiple copies of that. Okay. And then let's say I actually wanted like a darker green color. So I could just go into the swatch and edit this, go to the HSB, turn down the brightness here and hit OK. And whoops, none of those actually changed. So we'd have to select them and then reapply that swatch. When you have 6 swatches, like we do here, 6 circles, it's not a big deal. But if you had an entire document with this color, that could be really tedious. So instead, let's do something different with this blue swatch. So I'll go ahead and hit the plus icon again, but this time I'm going to hit the checkbox for global to turn this into a global swatch. So hit OK. Now we'll do the same process, drag this out, hit Command D a few times to duplicate that. And then now, if I actually wanted to change this blue color, you see how the swatch has this little white triangle in the corner? That means it's a global swatch. So I'll double click on that. I'll go in here. I'll hit my preview, and then maybe I wanted a purple color. So I'll kind of just start editing this. And as we can see, all those swatches are changing. The third and final tip for today is using the Select Same function. I have a couple button designs here that I want to print out. I'll do Command C, then I'm going to come over here, do Command V to paste them in this 8.5 by 11 document. And the reason I want to print these is just to check on the scale, see how big this type is and stuff. But I only have a printer that does black and white, so we need to change the color of this artwork. If we had like 50 buttons, it'd be too tedious to select each thing individually and change it. So instead, we're just going to select, we'll start with this green color. We get some additional options up here. Drop this down. We're using fills, so I'll keep it on that, but you have lots of options. And then just go ahead and hit this button here. It selects everything that uses that fill. I'll turn it black. From there, I actually only want this to be a stroke just so I can see the bounds of the button. So I'll do Shift X on my keyboard to change my fill into a stroke. Next, I'll do the same thing for my white text. Go ahead and turn that black, and we are ready to print. This can also be useful for one other thing. If we zoom out a little bit, sometimes if you open a PDF or something in Illustrator, there'll be like some weird paths hanging out. We don't see anything, but if I hit Command Y to go into my outline mode, there's some stuff hanging out over here. And sometimes this can be a little bit hard to find. It can be buried like inside of your type or something. So anyways, just to sniff that stuff out, you'd want to go ahead, I'm going to exit outline mode. You want to go ahead and create a shape, any shape. I'll do an ellipse. Create that with no fill and no stroke. Come up here, select fill and stroke color, and then that selects everything that has that. I'll just hit delete and boom, we are rid of that stuff. So anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, make sure to do all the things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.